Welcome back, everybody. Well, today let's try to put some conduit in the ground. I've already got my underground box out there and I've already got it stubbed out. So all I gotta do is connect onto it and then run it over here and bring it into where my service panel is gonna be on the garage. Let's try to get a ditch dug and get some pipe in the ground. Move this thing along. Now I've put a 400 amp service in this house, so I've got my 2 leads coming over here to catch my disconnect. So we'll have to have basically the meter base and then 2 disconnects on the outside. So I'll have to bring my ditch in here, in which we'll have some stone go on the bottom. So I want my pipe to come out and miss those stone. And then we'll have to figure out where we want to tie into the bottom of our meter base. We got to dig a trench out here. We got to miss the septic line coming from the garage over here and a water line as well. Then tie it into that underground box sitting out there, and then I've got some fiber conduit to run in the ditch as well. When I originally put the system in, I've got underground conduit. I think it was 450, 500 feet or so up to here, and then it goes in and feeds that building. But then I stubbed out of this as well, and where I've got this fence post drove, the end of my conduit should be down in here. Hopefully we can find it and tie on to it, run it over to the house. Well, I found the end of it. Here's my pipe, my conduit rather. It's pretty handy having that fence post right in front of it. I was able to just dig straight down the post, keep me from crushing the end of it. So I'll get all this dug out around it. We'll line our ditch up with it, get it dug out of here, and then stick some pipe on it. I've made it past the road, so that's a good stopping point for right now, because I've got a septic line that runs across the road right here, and then my water diverter here, essentially where my water line comes up the hill and then it splits and goes to the house and splits and comes over to the building. All that runs right through here, so I'll wait till daylight and dig underneath that, so that way I don't tear something up. But I just remembered, my wife has left town for a couple days, so old dad here has to be the cook. So I gotta go in here and feed these hoodlums something to eat. But I'll come back out here after I get them settled down and go ahead and run that pipe from the box over past the road, get my fiber conduit over there, and I'll get my warning tape put down in there and at least cover up right here where the road's at. That way we can get in and out of here. The inspector, he'll let me get by with that, so I'll leave it open on the end, and then hopefully tomorrow evening and the next day or so we'll get it run on over to the house. But I'll probably see you back after dark. Well, those kids said that's the best corn dog they'd ever eat. About 2 breaths later they asked me when their mama was gonna be home. I don't think they like me being mom. Well, I'll tell you, if you've not bought any of this 3-inch conduit in a while, they're not exactly running any blue light specials on it. It's running about $60 a joint around here right now. But I've got 30 foot of it joined together. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that down the trench and get it hooked up here. And then I'll tie it and run it on out through there, and we'll get our conduit for fiber put in there, and at least I can get my road covered up tonight. I threw about 10 inches of dirt over my pipe, and then I put this caution tape in there. That way, if you're ever come back in here and digging or doing anything, you'll hit that tape before you hit your conduit. So I'm gonna cover this up right here and get my road back to where we can use it. I think I'll call it a night. Well, it's a new day. I filled in here the other night so we could get through here with the vehicles. But I'm over here to the part that I sort of dread the most. And that is, I've got to get underneath my septic and water line that run down through here. So that line runs through here, in which I split off my water, and it comes over and ties into this ditch as well. So I'm gonna try to dig back here to it. Then I'm gonna go the other side, dig a hole, and maybe we can break it out from under it. Let's try not to tear something up. I'd love to be able to break through, essentially just keeping a little land bridge there, and I can just slide everything right under it and not have to get in there and dig around that. But I try to get that bucket back in there and just curl it and break some of that out, but I'd be careful because I go to moving it down here and it moves everything and break one of those pipe in there. But let's see if I can poke a hole through here. This stuff's pretty hard, so I don't know if I'll be successful, but you'll never know till you try. And it's hard down in the bottom. I'll report back. Well, so much for my land bridge. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is coming out of my septic line. Kristen's in there washing clothes, so yeah, buddy. Well, if Travis would have had a bigger brain than he does, he would have put a piece of conduit underneath this sewer line and water line, and Travis wouldn't have a big pile of crap filling his hole up. But let's fix it. We'll move on. You know, when you're doing this, you always are like, just one more pass to save 3 scoops with a shovel. Well, that one more pass bit me in the rear. Well, welcome back to Travis. Should have dug it out with a shovel in the first place, but I'm making headway. I've got my line sort of dug out, and I'm trying to cut it back down to the bottom of my ditch so we can get our electrical conduit through there, and then I'll fix this sewer pipe. You'll never know what happened. Just killed an hour digging it out and a 3-hour trip to Lowe's. Travis ain't careful, I can do a lot of damage. Well, I'm running out of places to put my dirt, so I'm having to scoop it up and take it out of here and dump it so I can keep it from piling up against the house. But I know it'd been nice to got this in before I framed anything. It'd been a lot easier, but the reason I waited is that way I'd know exactly where I wanted it to come up and I won't have to be moving it. Let's get the rest of it scooped out. We'll tie it into this ditch back here. We'll stick some pipe in it. Well, I got all my conduit in and I've got my caution tape in here, and so I'm ready for inspection. Hopefully the electrical inspector will be up here first of the week and sign off on it so I can get all this mess cleaned up. But I just left the machine sitting there straddling the ditch. That way when he okays it, I can start throwing that dirt back in there on it. I can't remember if I said this earlier in the video or not, but I'm putting a 400 amp service in this house, so I'll have a 400 amp meter base, and then I'll have 2 disconnects sitting on each side of it. But this takes up quite a bit of room on the wall, but it is what it is. But I'll show you how I'm gonna mount it out here. Well, as you can see, I've built a little bump out here on the wall to set the meter base and the 2 disconnects on. But the reason I did this is I'm gonna have stone down here at the bottom, and it'll come up to this line 3 foot. But the stone sticks out 1 3/4, 2 inches, somewhere in there. But then I've got a 3-inch wide triple edge that'll go around the top. And so I didn't want my conduit to be back against the house and then them have to lay stone up beside it. And then, you know, if you set your meter base against the house, then you got to J-trim it or whatever it may be, and you got to go around the box to trim it out. So the people that built my standing seam metal roof, I've got them going to build me a pan that will basically fold and lay over this, and it'll come down and then have a flange on it to where I can fasten it here. But then this will just be a flat piece of metal, but I'll be able to get it in here, secure it, and then I'll use this zip tape, flash it with it, and then we can come back in here and trim against this and run her siding around it. But that way it'll get these out and my conduit will come down, miss all my stone. It should make for a pretty neat job. I also did the same thing on the back side of the house, but this will be my disconnect for my heat and air system. And then I will have a 100 amp sub panel out here as well. So I've got the same bump out. So the box will sit up there, clear all my stone below it. Well, I can check one more thing off the list. Got plenty more to go, but hey, it's good to check them off. But I got some materials for an upcoming project, and I'm looking forward to tackling it. It's going to be a lot of work, but hopefully it'll turn out all right. We got the lumber for our porch. Now the steel frame that's going to make up my post and my headers, it's supposed to be at the powder coaters right now, so hopefully I'll have it in a week or so. But then these 4x6s, that'll make up my rafters, and then where I come around my corners, these 4x8s, I'll use those. And then this 2x material, that'll act sort of as a ledger back against the house where everything will tie into. And then once I get everything in place, I've got some tongue and groove material, which will essentially create a ceiling on the underside. And then obviously we'll felt over that, and then we'll put the standing seam roof on top of that as well. But that looks like a whole lot of work laying on the ground, but I'll be glad to get that porch on it. This thing might actually start looking like a house. My brother told me the other day it looks like I built a schoolhouse with a gym behind it. So maybe we get the porch on it, it'll start looking like something. But I think that's gonna wrap this one up. But for all of you that have watched, I appreciate it. And until the next time, we'll see you later.